3, 2, 1.
Glowing Up Latina, Season 1, Episode 20. Woo!
Hello, welcome to the final episode of Season 1 of Glowing Up Latina.
Hi!
Hey, we did it!
I'm Christina.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Liana.
And we are so excited.
Yeah. We're very, very excited.
Wow.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe this is it.
We somehow managed to put out a whole season of a podcast. Can you guys believe it?
No. Truly cannot.
No. 20 episodes in one season. First time just running a podcast, learning a lot of things. It's
crazy.
Yeah, for some context, you guys, we started out, we were like, we'll do 10 episodes, we'll come back, then we'll figure out, we'll know what we're doing. Don't worry. Like, it'll be fun. It'll be quick. And somewhere along the way, we were like, what if we did 20 episodes? What if we kept this going during a very busy time in all of our lives? Wouldn't that be the most fun thing that we've done?
I think, yes, I know. I think we have to give ourselves a round of applause because we took on a lot of things while taking on this podcast. You know, Liana moving into her new place. I also taking on a new job. Christina taking on a new job. So this has been something, you know, the podcast was, oh my God, I don't know. There's not a lot of words for me to say it, but it's just, I think we did a fantastic job for people, for a set of ladies who just, technology is not our forte.
I had no idea. I told my friends I'm adding iMovie to my resume and GarageBand.
As you should.
All of it.
I'm going to add graphic designer to mine. We should add it to all of ours.
Yeah.
So you guys, how are y'all doing? How's it going?
Oh my God, it's going.
Amanda's sick.
Yeah.
I am trying to fight a cold and it sucks. Like a cold in June, and it's the worst because I want to turn on the AC because it's hot, but then I don't want to be like in the AC with a nose. Like, it's just the worst right now. But I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm gonna get over it. But yes, guys, how's your week this week?
So actually, I think I mentioned it to you guys like a couple of weeks ago that my manager was leaving. So this was like her first week, like not here. And so this week and last week, it was just, I've been so overwhelmed with work. Like sometimes I would log off at like 8 p.m. and I'm just like, I am so mentally tired from everything. Like, you remember when we did that imposter syndrome? This is the moment. I am in it, deep in it. So I feel very overwhelmed with work right now.
Okay. I have a little rant to go on.
Okay.
Love a good rant.
I watched J-Lo's halftime. Let's talk about it.
How was it?
Okay. So I would not describe myself. I was definitely not a J-Lo hater. She portrayed Selena. Gotta love her for that alone. Her and Mark Anthony did a movie together. It was so good. I feel like enough people do not know about it. It is called
El Cantante. El Cantante, yeah.
Yes, it is about Hector Lavoe. They portray husband and wife. It's so good. If you can find it, watch it. You used to be able to watch it on HBO Max. I don't know where it is anymore. But I left the documentary being like, damn, I like her a little more than I thought I would coming out of this documentary. Yes. Because, so I know we all saw the news clips where she was like, that she thought it was like the worst idea in the world to have two people headline the Super Bowl. I do think, based on watching the documentary, I do think the quote was taken a little bit out of context. Because essentially, like, what they were saying was that, like, I cannot believe that they have to have two people because we have one Latina being the headliner. They think we need two people to be the headliner to make it a good show. Do I think it would have been as good of a show without Shakira. No, I do not. I think J-Lo needed Shakira, but
okay.
Yeah, I do think J-Lo needed Shakira. I don't think Shakira needed J-Lo. But yeah.
And just that's what I would have thought the other way. But what you said about the quote that she said about having Shakira on board with it, I feel like I didn't see it, but something did tell me that quote was taken out of context, because she wouldn't say something like that unless she can back it up and there's reason for her to say it. I mean, that's a personal thing. I'm also with you where like I can see something that's J-Lo related and it makes me like her a little bit more. But I do feel like she was, I think, again, I didn't see it. I felt like that quote alone was taken out of context. But you just confirmed that it was taken out of context.
It was taken, I believe it was taken out of context. To be fair, J-Lo is a little bit of a shit talker.
Okay.
Like
I can see that too.
And
I can see that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all that aside, I left it like liking her a little bit more than I thought I would, because also I didn't understand her whole narrative of like, I'm an underdog, I've been fighting my whole life. And I was like, you're 50. Like, you are one of the most well-known women.
Like, you made it.
Globally, yeah. I was like, what is this coming from? Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you still feel like an underdog? Well, when you're watching it, and it's true, because like right out the bat, she came out doing Selena. And it was nominated for a Golden Globe. She didn't get Oscar nomination, which I definitely think like that movie should have been nominated for an Oscar. But it was the 90s and they were not giving Oscars to Hispanic people. They were not giving Oscars to people of color. They just weren't doing it. So that's how that ended up happening. Also, the movie she did with Mark Anthony definitely should have been nominated for an Oscar. You guys, so fucking good.
Yeah.
Then she does Hustlers, you know. What, 20 years later?
Oh, it was so good. I don't know why.
Well, okay.
It was so good.
So I think it was a very good movie. I don't think it was an Oscar movie.
Okay, fine.
Do you think?
No, I agree. It wasn't an Oscar movie. It was maybe a SAG, Golden Globe.
Yeah.
Maybe an Emmy.
And she was nominated. Well, Emmy's TV.
Oh, okay, fine.
She was nominated for a Golden Globe, and she won some like film festival award. I think that was in Miami, like it's tropical something. They talk about it in the documentary. She won that award. She didn't win the Golden Globe, and then she wasn't nominated for the Oscar. And her team was really upset for her, which I get. But where the underdog narrative starts to make sense for me is that when the Oscars were announced, you see all the women that were nominated for the best, I want to say it was supporting that she was up for. I could be wrong. And all the women are white. So being anybody, and you walk into a room of something that you thought you were going to get and everybody's white, you're just like, damn, well, I never had a chance, did I?
Right.
So I get that. That's the first like bullet point, I guess. Second, she's doing this, and then she's like doing this whole thing, becoming big in the 90s. She does really good movies. She has Made in Manhattan. She does The Wedding Planner. Like, I think Made in Manhattan was 2000s.
2004, I think Made in Manhattan. But even before all that, after Selena, she did a movie with George Clooney. What the heck was it called?
Yeah, I don't know what it was called.
Oh, I forgot. But she did that movie with George Clooney.
She had a couple of good movies. Again, not Oscar movies, but good movies that she is like, she was in Anaconda. Also.
Anaconda. I was going to say, was she in Anaconda?
She was in Anaconda, yeah. She was in that movie Enough.
Okay, I feel like
people don't appreciate enough. Like, I love Enough.
So that movie was so good.
That movie,
so good.
Got me so.
And
hyped.
people they like to rag on it. I think it's a good movie. I
love that movie. Yeah. I love it.
So again, she's in good things. Also, she's a phenomenal dancer.
Yes.
I am in the camp of people. Yeah, she was a fly girl in Living Color.
Yep.
So I am in the camp of people who like. I don't necessarily know if she can sing, but she's enjoying. Yeah, you too, right?
Yeah, me too. I I don't think she can sing. She's not a phenomenal singer. She can, put out some hits, but is she like, is her voice like Selena? No. Is her voice like Beyonce? No. But we like her hits.
No, see, and Selena, in the movie Selena, like that was all Selena's music. She lip synced to it all.
Yeah.
So, but again, she's not talentless. She's a phenomenal dancer. She's a phenomenal performer. She knows how to put on a show.
Yeah.
But all everybody seems to be focusing on are her relationships. Is she with Alex? Is she with Ben Affleck? I don't know why I called him Alex.
They compare her to Elizabeth Taylor with her list of husbands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
they tend to do that a lot.
And then she is like sexualized instantly for her body, for the way that she looks, because she's in the documentary, she mentions it. When she's coming up, it's very thin white women that are like the go-to, this is what I need to look like. So again, I'll just say, like, I walked away like understanding her a little bit more, like getting where she's coming from a little bit more. She's not a favorite, but I have her songs of hers that I do really enjoy. So J-Lo, not all bad. Final opinion. So yeah, doesn't describe how my week went, but that's what I did with it. That's what I've been thinking about. So I gotta say, I didn't expect to leave with that opinion, so it's been a little shocking to me. I've had to process a lot of feelings.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah,
I've been waiting to.
Highly recommend.
Another show to watch. It's on HBO Max. It's called the Gordita Chronicles.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh my god, it's so cute. Liana, I think you would enjoy it. It's about a Dominican family that moves to the United States in the 1980s. And the main character, her name is Cuckoo. What's she like, 12 or 13? I want to say. Maybe she's a little bit younger than that. And she's just like finding her way and learning, the American lifestyle and still, also speaking her truth. So she is I love her. She's adorable. And the cast is amazing too. I like the cast. They're pretty funny.
On HBO Max?
I recommend it. HBO Max, yeah.
Well, here's our little PSA, you guys. We have to watch Latinx shows so they do not get canceled. Have to watch them. Even if you don't like it, just have it on in the background so it gets its numbers. Yeah.
I'm sure that's what some of you guys do with us. But it's okay.
So, hey, nobody does that with us. Because I was so sad when One Day at a Time got canceled.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah, I was watching that. I was watching that for a minute. It was crazy that got canceled. And then what's another one? On My Block?
On My Block. I think Gentify got canceled.
Oh, Gentify got canceled. I was
so many are getting canceled. That sucks so bad.
We gotta watch them, you guys.
Yes.
But today's episode, and I feel like it's so fitting since it's our last one, it's a fan requested episode.
Yay!
And we are so excited.
When I saw the request, I was like, we want to hear what we have to say.
We hope you're excited, listener who requested this episode. This is why we say reach out, because you never know. We might, we really might do what you're asking us of.
Yeah.
With topics. So yes.
We are going to be leaving y'all this season with some little tips on Adulting 101.
Yay.
Exciting.
Yeah, because we're like half adults, I think. I don't think you're like a full adult maybe until like you're 40.
I was going to say the same thing. No.
Yeah. Like I've said this before, like adulting is like it's a lie. Adulting is a lie. Everyone kind of just figures it out as they go along. They just kind of like be like, well, I'm going to try and see if this works. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, moving on.
There's still a lot of trial and errors here. So
I'm basically still a child, to be honest with you guys.
Same.
A child with a job and tattoos. So when you guys were getting ready to move out, how did you guys approach the whole budgeting situation, that dreaded money that you have to have in order to be alive?
So for me and Norin, we had both lived with our parents up until we got married. So in that way, we were very fortunate because we've been able to save and think about how we wanted to live between the two of us. So I think when we were both figuring it out, the first thing that we did was like, what can we spend every month? Like, how much is too much and how much is just right? So that was like the first thing that we had to like sit down and figure out. And it's such an awkward conversation to have because no one really likes to talk about money or like how, like, because everyone handles it differently. So it's a really, Nora and I handle our money extremely different. It's a learning process. It's fine. But that's adulting. That's adulting. That's like the first thing I learned in that. Like, you just have to know how to handle, how to manage your paper, your stack.
I actually have a question for you guys. And if it's too personal, you don't have to answer it. But finances for married couples, separate or combined?
Separate.
Combined.
I love the debate.
Combined.
Let's go.
Okay, so maybe that's one tip I did learn from my parents. At least they didn't like teach me how to budget, but that was something that I knew offhand right away. Like, it was separate all the time, and I can understand why. Maybe it was like mostly like my mom's decision, but I can understand why, because like what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And if I want to make my own purchase, it's from my money. And I'm sorry, but you don't have a say in it because it's my money. That's not to say that we can't, save together and pay for like bigger items together, like home stuff, furniture, redecorating or, refurnishing something like that is something that we put in together because that's something that we both need to use. But I like separate.
I am interested to hear what you have to say, Liana,
yes.
Because I imagine like combined finances to be almost like a pool. Like, you throw everything that you made in there and then you will figure out how to pay our bills and stuff, but then you can do whatever else you want with the money.
Yeah. So I learned this early on in our marriage. Like, when you're married, you're a team, right? You're now like two people coming with two things of income, right? So you're a team now. And so the way Norn and I have our finances is a little bit different than I would say a lot of other people that I've learned. So right now, I am in charge of like all of our debt expenses. So I have just finished paying off all of Norn's debts, and now I'm on my own. I'm now paying off my own. That being said, now Norn is in charge of like paying the rent and paying for like other bills and stuff. So in that way, we have that separate, but we're both working towards one thing, if that makes sense. So it's like we both know that we want a house at the end of this year or like the end of next year or whatever. What do we both have to do to make that happen? We know that we have to work on our credit. And so I will take that responsibility on working on both of our credits because now Noren's credit is good. So now I have to work on mine. In that way, like that's how I mean combine. But like, let's say not today, we opened a savings account for our house, which is really exciting. So that's really cool. And so with that, we have to like, and in that way too, it's also combined. Like, what can we each put into the savings account to get towards our goal? And then there are, at the end of the day, like the money I make is my money, and whatever I decide to do with it is my decision. And I tell him that all the time too. Like, as long as we're working together to get to this place, to get to this goal at the end of it, like, I don't care what you do, like that's your money. You worked hard for it. So you should get whatever you want. And same for me. So I think that's how I see it as combined. Like, and I always tell Noren this, whatever is mine is yours and whatever is yours is mine, because we're married and that's how things work.
Is it combined in the way where you guys have one checking account and both y'all checks go into there, or y'all have y'all separate accounts?
We have our two separate accounts, but we each know what the other makes. So we are very aware of where each of our money is going. So I think that's also too, like it's combined in that sense. And we also do like our expenses together. Like, okay, what are you thinking of spending this month? What are you thinking of paying off this month, kind of thing. And that way we work together and see how much we can save at the end of the month, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, that does make sense.
That the right way.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So, okay. In the way that Amanda was saying that, like, if I want to go buy something, I'll go buy it. So, like, say you wanted to go buy an iPad. Is that a conversation you'll have together, or do you just go buy the iPad? Okay.
No, it's a conversation we have together. Every big purchase is something that I talk to Norin about, because is it going to help is it going to help us at the end of the day, or is it going to hurt us? You know, like, but also too, like, if it's something that I've worked hard for, if I'm saving for it, if it's not like just an impulse buy, that it's an easier conversation. But if it's just like, because lately the conversation's been, I really want that new iMac. And so Norin is just
I want the purple one.
That would probably be a nice purchase for us to do, like, after the wedding, like a nice iMac in the apartment. We'll figure out where to put it. But yeah, I feel you on that one.
Somebody give Amanda an iMac as a wedding gift.
I mean, I'm not going to deny the gift. So. But I feel Liana with that, you know, with making big purchases. I do ask. No, hold on. Let's go back. I inform Constantine. I let Constantine know if I want to make a big purchase, if I'm planning to make a big purchase, should I do it? Like, I consult with him, because he does, you know, he'll ask me the right questions. Like, okay, well, do you need it right now? Is this something you can wait like in 2 months from now? Like, there are things that he does ask. Like, it's not like a no, but he makes me really think about it. Mm-hmm. And if I come up with a good plan on how it's going to be paid off, then maybe that's my wiggle room to like convince him. That's my, you know, but you know, I can do this to pay it off. But I am smart about, if I make a big purchase, how I'm going to make sure it gets paid off, and I'm not hurting my pockets. I'm not hurting our pockets. So I understand what you're saying there, Liana. Yes, it's separate, but also combined. I guess right now that's where we are in our relationship, like budgeting. We are separate, but there are things that we make sure we save together to make big purchases for like our home and our future home that we would like to have.
Okay. Is there like a threshold for you guys? Like at $500 we talk about it, $100 we talk about it. Like, is there an amount that you know, this is when I need to talk to my partner about it?
No, I talk to Norin about every purchase I make. Literally every, like, for the clothes that I bought for DR, you know how I was like, oh, all my clothes came in and everything. Literally, I walked him through my entire cart. Be like, okay, listen, these shoes would be really great for this, but then I could also use these shoes for the future. So that's a good purchase, right? Right. Great. Moving on. Like, and literally we walked through everything that was in my cart. And it wasn't more of like me asking for his permission. That's not what it is. It's more of just like, I need you to ask me the questions, because right now I'm blinded by all this beauty, and I just need you to bring me down to earth. I need you to ask me all the tough questions so that I'm not making a bad decision. Right. Because if I'm trying to pay down our debt, me paying for this is not going to get me there. That's where that goes.
Threshold. I want to say my headphones, Apple AirPod Max headphones, and that's a purchase. Yeah. Okay. So I made sure that we discussed that and made sure that it made sense for both of us. So clothes, I don't really spend a lot of money on clothes. Maybe for the wedding, yes, I've been noticing, purchases, because it's wedding related stuff. So we both consult with each other about those wedding purchases. And do we really need to buy this for the wedding? Can we skip on this? Where's a way that we can save on that? So that's something that combined we speak, you know, we consult with each other and make sure. I think maybe if we're talking about stuff over a few hundred, maybe over $100, yes, we are consulting with each other. Yes.
Okay. Well, as our resident single, I just do whatever I want. But I will say I am more fiscally responsible now in my late 20s than I was in my early 20s. I was very irresponsible in my early 20s. And because of that, I decided for me, what works is creating a spreadsheet of basically it's like a checkbook. Do you guys remember checkbooks at all? Did y'all learn how to balance a checkbook?
No. I saw my dad kind of do it. My mom, not really, but
for me, it was like a lesson in school. We had a whole math unit where we learned how to balance a checkbook. We learned how to, it was like, I think maybe with the add and subtraction that we were learning, like if you spend this much and you have this much money, like this is how much money you have left. Like it was a whole unit for me in school. And as I got older, I realized that what I needed to do, I'm the type of person where I have to track everything, because if I'm not tracking it consistently, I like things and I like nice things. I am not on a nice things consistently salary yet. So nice things are like a special treat, or if I did something, like if I felt like I really deserve it, that's when those things come into play. But I track everything that I'm spending in my checking account, and it's all color coded by various categories, like frivolous things, necessities, like food, when I make food purchases that are not groceries. Because one thing I learned in tracking my spending was that I was spending a lot of money on eating out. And I was like, this is an area of my life where I can cut down and save this money. Mm-hmm. So watching what I was spending and then tracking what I'm bringing in has been really helpful.
Christina, I feel you about the spreadsheet. I tried doing that. That was like on my to-do list once I was living on my own with Constantine. So I created a spreadsheet and I put down all my expenses, all my miscellaneous stuff. And then when I reached the total, I was like, no, ma'am, I don't know who you think you are. I don't think you realize that your pay does not equal, right? Yeah. Equal your life. It doesn't equal your lifestyle. So you need to make some changes here. And that was the first and last time I created a spreadsheet for my budget because that kind of terrified me, but it gave me a reality check. I was like, ma'am, you need to be humble and you need to be very, conscientious of what you're making, what you're buying. So I have not gone back to the spreadsheet, but I do check my account very often now. And every time I make a purchase with my debit card, I'm like, okay, I know how much was there this morning and I know how much I just spent today. Like, that's how I keep track. It's crazy that I'm keeping track of it in my head because I'm sure it can get lost, but like with everything going on in the world, but I still manage to make sure that that math will stay there. And I know not to go overboard. What? Like there was a point I was spending Starbucks, like I was buying Starbucks almost every day. And I was just like, no, Amanda, no.
Let's not talk about my Starbucks addiction here lately. But I will say different things work for different people. I need my feelings hurt every 2 weeks. I need to look at my spreadsheet and be like, girl, what are you doing? The summer months have been particularly bad. It's just, I think like I have a rush of serotonin and I'm just so ready to like buy. But it's part of being an adult. You have these times, you have these moments where, not everything's going the way that you would like for it to go. Mm-hmm. So, and I would say, honestly, that has probably been the biggest challenge becoming an adult, is that not everything is always going to go the way that I plan. Or if I plan things out like perfectly to the T, and then, you hit one little snag and it's just my perfect plan is out the window.
Yeah.
That and being away from my family. But I feel like I cry about that too much. So I didn't want to say that one. What about you guys?
For me, I would say, I know my brothers are going to laugh at me about this, but like cooking for myself and for Norin. For the people that don't know, Norin is the chef. I do not like the kitchen. I'm going to admit it here. I will stand by it. The kitchen is not my best friend. I don't even like to do the dishes. So I think that would be like the biggest challenge for me. Like yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's just I don't
Hey,
knowing like if I have to do like if I can make something easy, like if I can have like nuggets and like heat something up in the microwave, that's all I'm eating. Cereal, that's where I'm at. Like if I don't have to turn on the stove, I'm okay. But like if I have to like, make the rice and then make some chicken, and then I have to make something else, it's too much work and I don't like it. That would be like the biggest challenge for me.
I feel like I should have said cooking, because also like at the end of the day, like when you get home from work and you're just tired, like you don't want to do another thing. That's part of what I struggle with cooking, but also I'm not the type of person who can eat the same thing every day. Thomas 100% could eat the same thing every day. I cannot.
Constantine too.
Yeah, I need variety, and I know how to make about, I would say we're up to like maybe 25, 30 things, which seems like a good rotation, but also like I'm probably sick of those, half of those things. So, if someone wants to point me in the direction of a good cookbook, I would really appreciate it.
Same. Listen, I know how to cook. I know how to feed myself. Like that's not a problem. I can agree with Liana and Christina. Liana, ever since we moved in, Constantine has cooked dinner way more times than I have so far. And I'm proud of him because he's learned how to do that. Like when he was living with his mom would always cook for like all, him, his stepdad, and his brother. Like those are like 3 men. You got to make a lot of food for men. Like, you got to make sure that they're full. But he never like cooked. So when he finally found the confidence to be in the kitchen and work the stove, I let him I encouraged it, because I didn't want him to be like shy or scared to like move around the kitchen. Like, do you, man? Like if something speaks to you and you want to cook this, go for it. Like I'm not going to judge you, because I know like cooking was not a thing that you did before. And if you want to cook now, that's great. I mean, I get to come home to a home cooked meal. I love it. I'm not complaining. I can't complain because you cooked and I didn't cook. So go ahead, let's eat together. Like I am fine. Yeah. And his cooking is great. I'm not gonna lie. But then I also eat anything. But but no. I give credit where it's due, and he has been doing such a great job with that. And then Christina, I'm tired. I don't want to come back home and cook. I'm traveling. I don't work from home. I don't get to work from home. So I'm always like on the go, getting up early, going to work. The most I can do, at least for the both of us, like if I know I'm getting up early, I'll make like a little breakfast. Like I'll put some eggs to boil. I'll put a hash brown in the toaster oven, so that way when he gets up, it's ready for him. So like we know, who we split. We basically know we do 50-50. I'll make breakfast, he does dinner. Lunch, we fend for ourselves.
I also need to get better about like planning my meals in advance.
Yeah.
I'm not super good at that. I try. Grocery shopping's also like, I finally learned how to grocery shop. I no longer go grocery shopping on an empty stomach. I go with a list. I do not go aimlessly. And I tend to try to stay on the outsides I try not to go in the aisles too much, because I'm really trying to eat like more fruits and vegetables and like fresh food. And the inside of the aisles is where that's all the processed food. But of course, I gotta grab my bag of Doritos every now and then. I love Doritos.
So for me, one of the biggest challenges in becoming an adult was just like making decisions on my own. Like I'm finding now in my time, like this time in my life, where yes, I can call my mom for help or like ask for her input, but also I have to learn how to like make certain decisions on my own, or learn how to make decisions with Constantine, because I was so used to making decisions with my mom. So now it's like, okay, now it's like me and Constantine, we live together. So like, it could be like little things. But I feel like I need his opinion on the decisions I make, whether that's like work, personal life, our relationship. So again, a lot of communication now, where I thought I had that down, but it's coming back again, where I have to be vocal about new things that are coming into my life. So that's been one of the biggest challenges right now in my adulthood, making decisions and communicating.
So would you say you guys feel like adults?
I'm starting to.
Yeah.
I'm starting to.
I think I have my
I
days. I have days where I'm like, that was very adult of you, Christina. Congratulations. And then I have days where I'm like, dude, you are not 21 anymore. Can we get it together? It's after I hang out with you two. That's when it is. That's when it happens.
Oh, well, damn.
So I'm like, we're not 21 anymore. We gotta get it together.
I was washing the dishes yesterday. Not a chore that I love to do, like Liana. But I was washing the dishes yesterday and I was just like, man, I turn 30 next year. Again.
All right.
Damn,
all right,
30
ma'am.
thing.
Calm down. We got months. We got relax. All right.
We're almost halfway there, ma'am.
I was counting the other day. It's 7 months.
None of that. None of that.
So like, and I'm like, oh man, I'm about to turn 30. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take full advantage of my 30s. I'm gonna make sure I am 30, flirty and thriving. Maybe not flirty, but flirty with my husband. But yes, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm thriving in my 30s and make the most out of it. I mean, I'm sure I'll say the same thing when I'm about to reach 40. But that is my outlook on that. And I'm starting to become more positive with reaching a new decade in my life.
My God, Amanda, my God.
My God. I know. I just know how to pick them. That's all.
I still got another year.
We know.
All right. Over this conversation.
No, but I will say that, but I feel like around 40 is when you're like a full-blown adult. Because I feel like you're still like getting it together in your 20s. Like, yeah, we're doing adult things. You guys are you're married, you're getting married. We buy our own groceries, like we do adult things.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I used to think like 30 was so old. And it's not. Like we have so much freaking life left. And I remember thinking when 20, like you being in your 20s was so old, or being like 25 was like, oh my God, I'm an adult. I was not an adult at 25. No, is really all I have to say about that.
My body was definitely feeling like it was getting up there. That's when it started to feel like I was getting all these back pains and all this stuff at 25, but lifestyle, not yet. No.
I don't know. I am starting to feel self-sufficient though, which wasn't happening beforehand. I would say like in my young 20s, I was like still going to my mom for a lot of things. And I still do now, but it's not out of necessity. It's just like, I wonder what her opinion would be. Like, I know what I want to do, but before I do something that maybe is not a good idea, let me see what she thinks, or let me see what somebody else thinks. Like, even you guys, I bounce ideas off of y'all. And I don't think I'll ever be to a point where I never consult anybody about big things that I do, because I think you're always nervous when you're going to do a big thing. I was nervous when I was moving to New York. I was nervous when I was thinking about moving in with Thomas. Like, there's just big things that you're like, it's better to consult somebody than to do this my way, and maybe my way not be right. But I do make my own doctor's appointments. I do my own grocery shopping. I do my own laundry. Like, we're self-sufficient. And also, I would say, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. There's a lot going on in the world. We put a lot on our plates when we don't have to, and we still manage to have a good time, have things mostly together. Our ducks are mostly in a row. Mm-hmm. So I do think like we should give ourselves more credit.
You said something about making your own doctor's appointments. How old were you guys when you started making your own doctor's appointments?
Well, I was 18 because I moved to New York. So
okay.
To be fair though, I was using ZocDoc. I relied on ZocDoc so heavily. I didn't have to call anybody. Just had to input my insurance information. Did not get my own insurance, like my own personal insurance, until last year, probably though, or when I turned 26, I guess, because I had to get off my mom's.
Yeah. Liana?
I think 26, 27. Recent. It's the worst experience. I was like, God, I have to call these. So I'm there and I'm just like, hi, I would like to schedule an appointment for next Thursday at 3 p.m. Be like, great. What's your insurance? I don't know. Let me find it.
Okay. So when you got married, was your mom like, okay, Liana, like you're married, you got to do this yourself?
Yeah. And like literally after I got married, everything changed. And it's like literally moved out, had everything. I have to get my own furniture, all of it, like pay my own bills, all of that. And I remember, I don't know, one of you guys were talking about like communicating and like not having your mom or like bouncing ideas off of other people.
Yeah.
And so every time I would call my mom every day. Mom, how do you do this? Ma, how do you do that? 2 minutes later, Mom, what did you say how to do it? Hold on, I'm gonna FaceTime you. FaceTime her, show her what I'm doing, like the whole 9 yards. And then there was a point where she was like, I can't tell you what to do. Like how, like, you just have to figure it out. And I asked her, I was like, but what would you do in my situation? She'd be like, well, I would do this. And I was like, great. That's all I need. That's all I needed.
I like how you followed up with that.
I used to call my mom and be like, what aisle would I find this in? I don't know where to find this. And she'd be like, I'm not in the grocery store with you. And I'm like, yeah, but what would be around it? Like, what would be near it? And that's how I would find stuff that I was looking for in the grocery store.
Yeah. So I was pretty mid-20s was when I first started. And it was like the worst. It was like the worst time because I was really nervous to be on the phone. I'm now making appointments left and right. And that's great.
Hey, you booked this for DR all on your own.
Oh my God, I was so nervous for that. I was just like, I'm definitely gonna fuck something up. R.I.P.
We're gonna go a different week than you guys, but y'all have fun.
Could you imagine? Hold on. Nah.
Like, where are you guys? We're about to get on this flight.
How old were you, Amanda?
Had to be like 16.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, my mom was not. She was not about it. She was like, you sick? Oh, yeah? You want to see the doctor? Go ahead. Here's the phone number. You give them a call. I was like, what? Yeah.
I'm still on my mom's cell phone plan. We literally talked about it when I went home this last time. I was like, I don't care if I get married. I don't care if I have a million children. I'm staying on your cell phone plan and they can figure it out for themselves.
It's a good plan. It's a good plan.
It is a good plan.
We stay on Constantine's.
I always tell my mom, I'm like, look, if something ever happened to me, you don't have to wait. You don't have to argue with the cell phone company because you pay for the phone. They have to give you the information. So
there you go.
I'm helping you out. I am helping you out. What is like, we've talked about budgeting, we talked about grocery shopping, all the stuff that comes with that. If you had like one lesson that you wanted to share with somebody about adulting 101, you're like one big adult tip, what would it be?
Mine would definitely be, don't be afraid to ask questions, because like we were all where whoever's listening, we were all where you were at some point, and we didn't get to where we are without, failing, trial and error, asking questions. So I think my number one tip would be, don't be afraid to ask questions, because you're the one receiving the information, you're the one learning it, and you are the one that knows how you learn. And so if that's asking like 5,000 questions, like I'm that type of person, and I don't care how dumb the question is, or I apologize first. I'd be like, I'm sorry, this is a dumb question, but can you like dumb it down? Like I'm a first grader, because I don't get it. And they laugh and then they answer my question and I understand it. And now I've learned something new and I can now move forward. So that would be my tip.
That's a really good point. I always, like, when somebody will tell me something, I'll explain it back the way that I heard it. And they'll either be like, you missed this, or like, yeah, that's right. That's perfect. That's great. Because I need things to be crystal clear.
Same.
So I would say that my biggest tip is things are going to suck a little bit. And it's important to recognize that, but to also realize you're not alone. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just sometimes in adulting, what do they call it? Failing up. Because every time you fail, you're learning from what you failed from. And so for me, I said it earlier in the episode, my finances, I failed up with that so hard. And I'm learning. I'm still learning now, but I'm grateful for the lessons that I had in my early 20s, because now future me, older me, is benefiting from that so much. Because it may sound like I'm frivolous with my money, but I'm really not. I take everything into such consideration, and I didn't grow up wealthy. So I put a lot of emphasis on saving and being prepared for any type of situation, because I never want to put myself in a spot where, if you hadn't bought that really big thing, you would have the money for what you need it for now.
Yeah.
So,
well, one tip, it's funny because I was going to say, Liana, you said don't be afraid to ask questions. And with your explanation, Christina, what you said was like, things you're going to fail up, right? My thing was going to be like, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be afraid in general about anything that you do when it comes to moving out and being on your own and being an adult, because there are so many things that are just going to come at your way, but those are lessons you're taking with you, and you're going to learn how to navigate through them. And if you find yourself through that same situation again, you already know how to handle it. You already know what to do, and keep it pushing, move forward. There are things now that have reoccurred in my past. Like, let's taking on a new job, for instance, right? I know how to handle interviews a little bit better now than what I did in my early 20s. I was nervous as heck in doing, any type of interview, whether it be like a volunteering, program, or taking on like an actual job, 9-to-5 job. Like, I would be so nervous. I would stutter. I didn't know how to prep for that. Back then, I didn't have the experience for it. But now that I have so much experience under my belt, I know how to, explain myself in my interviews and carry out a thoughtful answer. So there's so many things that go into being an adult, and it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be nervous and to be unsure sometimes, because like Christina and Liana said, we've all been there. You'll get through it.
I'm going to give my running list of things I think you should have when you're moving out or getting ready to live on your own. And you guys, y'all add to it as y'all see fit. Okay. Down payment, first month's last month. You definitely need that. You need, and I will argue with everybody about this, but you need a small toolkit. They don't need to be fancy. They don't need to be top of the line. Anything you can pick up at Target, very useful. And you definitely need a drill. A screwdriver will not always do. Again, doesn't have to be fancy. You need to invest in quality clothing. I know Fashion Nova, I know Shein, they're all so cheap and they have such cute things, but that stuff will wear on you fast. You'll have it for half a season, maybe. So investing in quality clothing that will last you and staple pieces is also very important. You also need to invest in quality bedding. Also, keep in mind, do with what's in your budget. If it's not in your budget, it's okay. Don't stress yourself out. You don't need it. But when it is in your budget, in the long run, you will save much more money. investing in quality items over really quick, fast items. Also, wash all your clothes in cold water. Always, 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 always.
Yeah.
And pay attention to the labels in your clothes. If it says to line dry it. And
I don't know what that means.
To put it like on a hanger or put it under the clothespins so that way it dries
air dry it.
in the regular air dry it. Don't put it in the dryer because it'll crinkle up the material. It'll make the fabric thin. It'll just mess it up.
Got it. See, I asked a silly question and then I got my answer.
Oh, also for the winter, you can invest. It's like $10 from like Walmart or Bed Bath & Beyond for your sweaters. This thing that takes the pills off. I don't know what it's called, but you know when your sweater pills?
Yes. I love those things.
So useful.
What is it?
And you have all the little like beads of like fabric on your sweater and you're like,
I got it. I get you saying yes. Okay.
It shaves them. It's like a pill shaver. It'll take the pills off your sweater and it'll save you from like throwing out a sweater that you think is too pilly. Okay. Those are mine off the top of my head. Do you guys have any?
Buy proper utensils, buy proper cooking pots and pans, buy quality ones because they will last a long time. I have a set of glassware, like plates, and then I have a set for me and Constantine where it's just plastic cups and a plastic plate. That's just for us during the week. We don't need to be fancy. Save your glass plates up there whenever you have guests. It's nice. But if it's just you two or just you by yourself, you don't need anything fancy. You go to Target. I must have paid like $2 per plate. It's great. It's holding up well. Let's see. Towels. Buy a good quality towel.
You need more than you think you do.
Yes, because if you just rely on one towel and if it's not good quality, you just already have the fringes at the end. It's starting to just pull the thread. It's just everywhere. Just get yourself a good towel and towels, plural.
So I recently got this gadget on Amazon. You guys, life-changing. It's a bathroom scrubber. And all you do, it's like you turn it on and it just scrubs the whole tub for you. And you're just in, it's like a mop, but it moves for you and it scrubs your bathtub. And I love cleaning the bathroom a lot more now.
Give me that. Okay. We're gonna put a link. I want that link for that for the bathroom scrubber. Okay. And then I also invested in a mop bucket thing where one side of it's like 2 buckets in one.
Is it the oyster mop?
That you step on it and like it cleans it. Yes.
I don't think the brand is Oyster, but I know what you're talking about. The O brand, right?
Yes. So like it's one big bucket and then there's another bucket in it. There's in the inner bucket, you can fill it up with water, clean water, close it. On one side of the bucket, it's like it wrings out the mop with a little push. You push at the edge of the bucket and it wrings out the mop. And then the other side of the bucket, like you could put the clean water in there. You lift up a little tab and it brings the clean water in. You put in your little mop detergent stuff, put it in, you wring it out and you mop. I love it. And then with all the unused water that I just empty out the thing and you could empty out the bucket or the dirty water in the toilet and
I love it. We get when you're on your own, when you're in your own apartment, the things that you get excited about are things like this: bathroom scrubber, mop thingy mabob, like toolkits. I'm telling you, these things excite us.
I love that bucket. I love it.
Ooh, I think my last one is learn how to properly store your vegetables. They will last so much longer. Your fruits and vegetables, if you learn how to properly store them, and your herbs like cilantro, you put it in like a little mason jar with some water at the bottom, and then put a plastic bag over it. Lasts so long. Broccoli, you chop it up, wash it, dry it, put it in a container. Lasts so long. Like learning how to properly store my fruits and vegetables changed the game for me.
Life changing.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
You guys, I hope we imparted wisdom on you, not just this episode, but this entire season. We are so grateful that y'all managed to listen to us for 20 episodes. This has honestly been the craziest ride. And we have at this point like over 4,000 downloads, which when we started, we were like, nobody's going to listen to us. Like, we probably won't get any. We are like, people in California love us. People in Texas love us. These are our top 3 states: California, Texas, and New York. People in, I want to say it's Germany, I think. Can't remember what the graphic was on Libsyn. Consistently listen to us. So, and
hey.
And we are almost in all 50 states. So you guys share our backlog this coming season, share with everybody, put your friends on, because we'll be back, and send us what you want to hear next season. If you have any ideas, we want to do a Q&A. Our biggest fan is my cousin Ruben, and he has seriously requested a Q&A. And if we don't do it, we're going to lose him as a fan. So don't worry, Ruben, we got you next season with a Q&A. You guys, do you have any parting words?
Just thank you guys, everyone listening to us. We appreciate you guys so much. We didn't think it was going to take off like this, but it did. And we love you guys for it. Again, thank you so much. A million times. Thank you.
Yeah, no like, no comment, no DM goes unnoticed. We see you guys, we hear you guys, and we want to hear more. And we're just so grateful and so thankful for each and every one of you for listening. And we're so happy that we're building like this community with you guys, because that was the goal. That was our goal from the beginning, to build a community that was safe for everyone to come together and talk and laugh about things that are like, funny, and like things that are sensitive, and all, like, just every topic is on the table. And we're so happy that you guys are joining us for the ride. So thank you so much.
Okay, you guys, just because we are going on a little hiatus from posting new episodes doesn't mean you will not hear from us. We have some big things coming in season 2. Obviously, we all have Instagram, so we'll be on Instagram. So, Amanda, where can the people find us?
You guys can continue to follow us on Instagram at Glowing Up Latina. Again, send us your DMs, your likes, because again, they never go unnoticed. And then you can share with us how you're glowing up. It doesn't stop. Just because we go on a hiatus, continue to tell us how you're glowing up during the week. And you can send that to glowinguplatina@gmail.com.
And don't forget to stream our entire season, because now it's available for you and your friends. Please share it with your friends, because we want them to hear us.
Oh, you guys, I feel so sad in getting ready to say this, but until next season, keep glowing me, huh?
Bye. See you later.
We'll miss you.